Now, which are you prepared to see? Library closures, youth services reduced or care for the elderly cut? County councils in the East Midlands say these are the stark choices as they face up to cuts of more than £400 million. Leicestershire County Council says it needs to find £110 million worth of savings in the next 5 years. In Nottinghamshire, the figure is £154 million. And Derbyshire County Council says it has to cut £157 million. Well, the councils are so worried, leaders from Leicestershire have been in Westminster this week to meet Conservative MPs from the county. And in Nottinghamshire, the County Council has launched a public consultation. It wants to hear what services the public is prepared to see cut. So we took them up on the idea. Des Coleman went out with the leader of the council to meet the voters.
So, £154 million's got to be cut from the budget of Nottinghamshire County Council. They're asking you how they can do that. So I'm in workshop to find out your views. I've also got with me the leader of the County Council, Alan Rhodes. Alan, how are you doing?
Hi, Des.
Should we go and ask people what they think?
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's go.
Get more people on the ground doing the actual work and get less chiefs.
Yeah.
There's too many managers doing nothing. I mean, all these... executive this and all they are, they're doing nothing.
What do you say to that then?
Well, it's interesting to hear these views. There will be some further job losses, there's no doubt about that, and there will be job losses in management as well as elsewhere in the council.
You've built a new library, but to me there was nothing wrong with the old library building. Stuff for children and the youth. Maybe you should look into doing something with the library for them, and then that you might save money that way, because at the minute there's not enough being done for the youth.
How can he cut any? He wants some money spending in workshop, they mind cutting.
Where do you think this gentleman here can cut £154 million off Nottinghamshire County Council's budget?
Well, as the lady says, we haven't got a bus station for a start. We've been waiting for one of them for quite a long time. It's coming, yes, it's been delayed again, hasn't it?
It's been worth waiting for. You'll have it by next winter.
Where do you get rid on it? You know, you can only cut so much, can't you? You need your services, don't you? You start cutting your police, your ambulance, your fire brigade, country's gone, hasn't it? Why not ask them at government if they can cut any of their budget?
Well,
now in Parliament, House of Parliament, or like
they're
that.
forcing us to cut our budget. They've decided that we should be.
Well, why not cut some of theirs?
Well,
see if they cut some of theirs.
It'd be good if they did.
You never see anybody saying, "Oh, we're going to cut this out of our wage packets" or anything like that, do you?
Oh, county councillors, they're a waste of time.
And why are they a waste of time?
Put it this way, half on them, if they're in an orchestra, they'd be on fiddles.
Thanks for that vote of confidence.
Alan, what do you say to that?
Well, it's absolutely untrue, actually, but I understand why people might have that perception, but there's no evidence to back it up. It's totally untrue.
Well, fair play to Alan Rhodes for agreeing to take part in that. And as you both know, you can never be quite sure how people are going to react to you when you go out on the streets. Jessica, Nottinghamshire's a Labour council, but Conservative councils like Leicestershire are having to go cap in hand to Westminster, to Conservative MPs, to say don't cut our funding anymore.
We've got to deal with the reality, and actually I think most people, certainly my constituents of Erewash, understand that. People know that the country is overspent, they appreciate that, and what it is then, it's for elected representatives through MPs and local councillors to make the case and to request for the funds in a way that they think would best serve their community. I think there's a reality, and I think most people understand that.
OK, well, Nottinghamshire County Council this week, Graham, have announced that they're going to start paying their workers the living wage. That's £1 an hour more, so £7.45. How can they afford that, and how can they justify that in difficult times?
Well, I think Alan's been very courageous in taking the message out to people and engaging in a dialogue. I think all political parties have been dishonest. What they've said to people is you can have the same level of service but on a reduced amount of council tax or income tax. And this, I hope, is opening up a dialogue with people saying, look, if you want good services locally or a good health service, you're going to have to pay for it. And what I'd like to see is local people deciding what they are prepared to pay. Politicians of all parties going out trying to convince them on what they call the tax and spend argument.
Well, nobody we saw or met wanted to pay any more, I can tell you that.
Well, I think if you put it to
people... Not surprisingly.
No, I think if you put it to people that if we pay a little bit more for our police, we'll have less crime and you'll be better off, or if you invest in children and early intervention, obviously my favourite, then that will pay back over the long term. People are not stupid. People will get these arguments, but at the moment, politicians, my party, Jessica's party, all parties say, oh, if we cut the fat out, it'll all be okay.
Well, tell us then, Jessica, where can these cuts come from?
Well, I think it's up. This is exactly what MPs need to do, and to make those representations. For example, in Derbyshire,
where can these cuts, these continuing cuts, come from? Which areas?
Well, I'll tell you. Well, for a start, you heard on the film there in Worksop, the man was pointing out about there's too many chiefs. You know, this is the public perception, but there has been some reality in that. There has been a lack of accountability in the public sector for a long time. We know that. For example, I was horrified to read that under the last Labour government, they ordered 28 luxury Parisian sofas.
Yeah, but in Nottinghamshire right now, 90% of their budget is spent on frontline services. So cut, and that comes out of that, doesn't it? Comes out of the front line. We're talking elderly care.
But just to finish about the sofas, if people are going to be ordering sofas, they should be ordering from our local quality suppliers in Long Eaton, local industries. But there are savings that can still be made. I absolutely believe that.
Well, where though? Where can these cuts be made?
Because if you go, well, I'll give you an example. I think that people have to take a longer-sighted view as well. So, for in Derbyshire, for example, the new Labour County Council at the moment are having a consultation period. There's no decisions made.
Well, they're right up against it, aren't they?
About our Home Start services, and I'm sure Graham will agree with me. And we both take the same view, and he's led on early intervention points.
157 million pounds they've got to save in Derbyshire. That's a lot more than they were going to have to save. 127 million. Now you've just upped it. They're really up against it now.
That there are, but I also think that these processes are important. People will go back. They can find those savings, and the focus on keeping the frontline services, I think it will pay off in the long run. I don't agree with what Graham says.
So you're saying that frontline services will be protected then?
Well, I can't account for what Derbyshire County Council are going to do, but I'm saying that has to be the priority.
Well, what would Labour do then?
Well, I would have one very clear cut, and that would be cut central government telling local government what to do, cut central government out of the loop on raising money, and let local people, local politicians argue it out. And I have faith in my politics that I can convince people that they should pay an adequate amount of council tax. Other taxes, they should be allowed to raise other taxes if the local electorate agree it. And then I think you'd find local authorities all going in different directions. And
is that Labour policy, what you're saying?
It isn't, but I'm working very hard not only to win over the Labour Party, but other parties to build a mature democracy. Most other Western democracies have local government that's independent and listens to local people. They don't have the Secretary of State telling them when they're going to empty their waste bins. And that's the sort of system we need to build in this country, because otherwise we'll be back here next year having exactly the same discussion.
Oh, I hope not.